Welcome Year 11 students. I thought it would be useful for me to go over the practice paper that you did for your prelim, and it was the October-November 2022 paper 2-3, and I thought that instead of doing every question that it might be worthwhile just choosing the ones that people were struggling with. So we'll work our way through this chronologically and see where we get to. Just grab a calculator. Okie dokie. Alright. Now, yeah, the first question, actually, there were a few people that got this wrong. What we're trying to achieve here is find the length of time in hours and minutes that he works. So, what I tend to do with these ones, we've got 20:45, so we're working with 24-hour time, and he finishes at 2:08 the next day. Okay, so first thing is we're going to go 20:45, and we're going to jump to 9 o'clock, 2100, and so you can see that that's 15 minutes. And then from 2100, I'm going to go to 12 o'clock midnight, which is 0000. And you can see that that's 3 hours. And from there, I'm going to jump to 2 o'clock in the morning, which is 0200, and so that's another 2 hours. And then I'm going to jump 8 minutes to 0208, which is 8 minutes. Now let's just gather all of our data together. So these are our hours, and then we've got our minutes here. So we should have 5 hours. So 5 hours, and then 8 and 15, and so that should be 23 minutes. So that was actually quite an easy one, but I noticed the people that got it wrong, they didn't draw something like this here that would have helped them. They just tried to do it in their heads. So I would suggest just doing a quick drawing like that. Okay, pretty much everyone got these ones right, didn't need any help with those, so I'm just going to move on to the next page. Okay, this one, a lot of people managed to get some of the marks here. Okay, so we've got 4 men, and the mean is 97.5, and the modal mass is 101 kilograms, and the range of the masses is 8 kg. Okay. Well, if the mode is, modal mass is 101, that means that must come up 8 times, the most times. So I'm going to start off with 2 101s there. Now, this here is the mean mass, so we're going to go 4 times 97.5. And this gives us, 4 times 97.5 gives us 390. Now at this point, I'm going to subtract this one and this one off there. So I'm going to go minus, and that would be 202, which leaves me with 202, because I've doubled that, which leaves me with 188. Okay, now the other piece of data that we have here is that the range is 8 kilograms. So from top to bottom is 8 kilograms. So what I'm going to try for this is I'm going to say, why don't I make the modal mass my highest one? So I'm going to go 101, take away 8. Okay, and that should give me 93. Okay, so let's just, I'll put this up here for now. Let's try 93 there. Now, if we had 93 there, we've got to find the final one, so that would be 188 minus 93, which is giving me 95. So, does this fit the criteria? We've got the mean mass. Well, if we add those all together, we get 390, and so therefore we'll get this mean here. So I'm happy with that. We've got this as being a mode, and then we need a range of masses being 8, so from top to bottom top result, bottom result, that's 8 difference. Yes, so it should be what we've got there is perfect. Pretty much everyone managed to get number 5. There was the odd person who just made a silly mistake converting their fractions to 21sts, but most people managed to do that all right. So we won't worry about that one. Yeah, and again, the spinner, I think everybody got that one right. The next one was the lowest common multiple of 36 and 60. So a few people got confused about this and were looking at factors. So multiples are, you know, like the multiplication table. So for 36 it would be 36, 72, etc. And 60 would be 60, 120, 180. So one way of doing this is to get to your prime factors. So we can go 4 and 9, and that would be 3 and 3, and 2 and 2. And so those are our prime factors. So it's 2 squared times 3 squared. Now let's look at 60, and we could say that it's like 60 times 10, and that's like 2 times 3. Those are prime factors, and this is like 2 times 5. So we can list this as 2 squared times 3 times 5. Now to find the lowest common multiple, you look for, you're going to select the one that appears the most in each list. So we've got 2 squared, that's in both, 3 squared, and then 5. So it should be 2 squared times 3 squared times 5, which is equal to 36 times 5. Well, it should be, I think, 180. Should be our result that we want there. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with that, the other way of doing it is just going 36, 72. All right. What's 336? We add another 36, so that's 102. I think it's 108. And then you add another 36 to that, so 138, I think it's 144, and then 180, and then just add another 36, like do a list of that, then do a list of your 60s, 60 plus 60 is 120, plus 60 is 180, and there we go. I quite like the prime factorization method, so there we go, whatever works for you. Oh yes, so 180 is our answer. Now moving on to the next one, midpoint. People forgot how to do midpoint. So midpoint is you take the mean of your x values and you do that by adding them together and then dividing by 2. And then you take the mean of your y values, you add them together and divide by 2, and that will be your midpoint. So let's try this. So we'll have minus 3, this one, and we're adding 5 to it, so add 5, divide by 2, and then let's look at our y value, so that's 5 plus 2, 2. Now that will give us 2 over 2, which is 1, and 7 over 2, which is 3.5. So we can say 1, 3.5. Hope that makes sense for you. Right, simultaneous equations. Most of us did okay with this. Some of us decided to make life difficult for ourselves. This was actually a very simple one. Hopefully you notice that, hey, we've got the same absolute coefficient here, so, and the different signs. So what we can do is we can just add 1 and 2 together. So 1 plus 2. Now when we do that, we'll get 8x. When we add the y's together, they disappear. And then when 21 and 51 are added together, we get 72. And so x equals 72 divided by 8, which is 9. And therefore, y equals, and we can just plug that in there. So we could go 3 times 9 minus 2y equals 21. So 3 9s, 27 minus 2y equals 21. And then I'm going to bring the 21 over here, so I get 6 equals 2y, so y equals 3. So we can just pop in our values there. So x is 9, and y is 3. So that's probably the easiest method there. Yeah, most people do pretty well with the trigonometry part of this and manage to get h. Some people perhaps just rounded incorrectly or made a silly mistake at the ends. What you needed to get for this, you needed the correct answer for the next one. So I think it should have been 9.80 for h. Now, if you're doing the perimeter, try not to be a Larry. It says perimeter, and so some of you decided to give me the area, which, you know, good on you, but that's not what's being asked. So we want to add all of these together. So should be perimeter is equal to 14 plus 10 plus h, which you got to be 9.8, and therefore your result should be 33.8. So yeah, a couple of silly mistakes there. Now the next one a lot of people struggled with. We have a diagram that shows two sides of a regular polygon. So this is a side and that's the other side. We've got an interior angle, so this is our interior angle. And then we have an exterior angle, and this is our exterior angle. And we've got to find the number of sides. Okay, the key thing to remember here is, it's regular. Number of sides of a regular polygon equals 360 divided by the exterior angle. So what we want to do is find the exterior angle. Luckily, we know that interior angle plus exterior angle equals 180. So we're going to add 7x plus 44 with x plus 8 and make that equal to 180. So we get 8x plus, and that should be 52 equals 180. And so 8x equals 180 take away 52. So 180 take away 50 is 130. So 128, I think. And then what does that give us? X equals, so x 8 into 12 is 1 leaving 4. So I think it's 16. 8 times 16 is 128. So now we know that x is 16. Therefore, exterior angle equals, now we're going to use this bit here, x plus 8. So 16 plus 8 equals 24. Now, we're going to go all the way back to here, which is our rule. Number of sides of a regular polygon is equal to 360 divided by the exterior angle. So 360 divided by our exterior angle, which we worked out to be 24. Chuck that into your calculator or do it in your head, and you're going to get, it's 15, isn't it? 15 sides, so I'd write that down there. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. The next one, most people actually were on the right track and got the general idea, but they didn't read the question. We want to work out the interest earned. So yes, it's compound interest, so most people went okay. We're going to say 4,000 times 1.026 to the power of 3. Now, when we chuck that into our calculator, I think we get 4320.18. Now the problem is that's what people gave us their answer, but we want the interest earned, and you can see that included in here we've got that 4,000. So to find the interest, you've got to subtract 4,000, and so your result should be, this is the interest. Okay. Next one. Yes, our calculators can do this for us, but we also know how to convert, we must know how to convert something like 0.24 recurring to a fraction. So first step is to go x equals 0.24 recurring. Then we can say 10x would equal 2.4 recurring. And some of you went, oh, okay, well, I can just take x away from 10x. But you can't, because you've got this annoying 2 here. So what we therefore need to do is go 100x, which gives us 24.4 recurring. And now we're at the right place that we can start subtracting, because after the decimal point we've got exactly the same thing. Okay, so we go 90x, so we're doing this one take away this one. And now 24.4 recurring take away 2 is 22, and therefore x is 22 divided by 90, and we can simplify that, which we must do, and some of you didn't, to halve both of them, 11 over 45, and that should be our final result. Okie dokie, moving on. Now, a lot of people struggled with this one as well. So, what we need to do for this one is we're trying to find, okay, we've been given a scale, and we want area in square kilometers of a lake that has an area of this on the map. Okay, well, the first thing is I'm going to convert my scale. I'm going to convert my scale to area. So I'm going to square this. So 1 centimeter squared, and then I'm going to square the top one. But what I might first do before I square this one is I might turn it into kilometers. So we could rewrite that as, sorry, I'm really explaining this really badly. Okay, we could think of this as centimeters, and let's take that back, centimeters to 200,000 centimeters. Now I can rewrite that as 1 centimeter to divide it by 100 to get meters, 2,000 meters, and then we can go, well, that's 1 centimeter to 2 kilometers. Okay, right, so now when we square both we should get this. Okay, so using this scale, if we've got on the map 12.4, then all we need to do to find what it would be in square kilometers is go 4, because to go from here to here you're timesing by 4 and changing to kilometers squared, so 4 times 12.4 centimeters squared, and what do you know, this gives us the right answer, which is 49.6 kilometers squared. So that would be how I'd attempt that one. Okay, moving on. Again, this a number of people forgot the formula for acceleration, which is a little disappointing. Acceleration, we're looking at the change in the speed. So you can see we're starting from rest and accelerate for 15 seconds. We want the acceleration in the first 15 seconds. So we're dealing with from here to here. So you can see the change in the speed, we've gone from 0 to 30, so it's 30, and the time that it's taken to do that is 15, so it should be 2 meters per second squared. Now the next one we're trying to look at, after t minutes, the total distance travelled is 45 kilometers. Okay, so we're dealing with something like this. This is t, right? And we'd have to change it into minutes. So now we know that distance on these graphs, the distance is the area under the curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the area under this bit here, which is the first 15 seconds. That's my first step. So that would be half the base, which is 15 seconds, times the height, which is 30 meters per second, which will give us 225 meters in the first section there, or 0.225 kilometers. Okay, now we know that in total we traveled 45 kilometers, and the rest of the area, as you can see, is a rectangle. Okay, so we want to find that bit there. So I'm going to go 45 kilometers, take away 0.225, and this will give me the next bit of the rectangle that I need to focus on, which is 44.775 kilometers. Okay, so in other words, from here all the way along to here is 44 point, sorry, in this area is 44.75, what did I say it was? 775 kilometers. My mistake, sorry, 775 kilometers. Okay, now what I will do is I'm going to convert that into meters. So that is, we times by 1,000, so 44775 meters. Okay, now to find the area of that rectangle, my apologies, we're going to do height times base. So 30, which is the height, times, and the base is the bit that we're trying to find out. We don't know this base here, we're trying to find this base out. So we'll call it x, 30 times x equals, and we know that the area must be 44,775. So then x equals, so we go 44,775 divided by that 30, and that gives us 1492.5. 1492.5. Okay, now when we get that, that is going to be our seconds. Okay, now t is time in minutes, so you can see that we've got 15 seconds over here, and then we've got that 1492.5 seconds over here. So we're going to add those two together, plus 15 seconds, and this gives us a total of 1507.5 seconds. Now to find minutes, we're going to divide by 60, and that gives us 25.125 minutes. And that indeed is our answer. Perfect. Let's move on. Okay, now thinking about a kite. Here's our kite. A rough kite, okay? And we've got a diagonal. This is one diagonal. And let's just say, for argument's sake, this is y equals 4x plus 3. It's a bit rough, isn't it? Rough and ready. And then the other diagonal would be going like this, like that. Now you notice that these are 90-degree angles in here with the kite. So that means that the gradient of this must be the negative reciprocal. So that's our gradient. Now we also know that they meet at this point here. So that's over there, which means that we can use y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Let's shove all of that information in. Y minus minus 5 equals negative 1/4 into x minus minus 2. Y plus 5 equals negative 1/4 x, and that would be minus, what would that be? 1/2, I think. And then y equals negative 1/4 x, and then we subtract that, so minus 5.5 or minus 11/2, I think. And that would be our answer. So I'll just pop that down there. Okie dokie, moving right along. Yeah, a few people had trouble with this. You've got to learn to read these. We've done lots of practice on these, so I expect you to get this right in the actual exam. Y is proportional to the square. Okay, now if it's proportional, there's going to be a constant of proportionality. So y, proportional, so square, we're going to have this, that's a square, and then there's going to be the constant of proportionality, which we call k. Then they always give you some criteria, and then we can find out what k is. So let's chuck that information in. Y is 2, so 2 equals k, bracket, let's put in our x, 12 minus 7, all squared. Now, whoops, jumping to the answer, 12 minus 7 all squared. Now, so we get 2 equals k into 12 minus 7 is 5, and we're going to go 5 squared. So 2 equals 25k, so k equals 2 25ths. Now, once we know that, we can use it to solve the equation here. Y equals, now we know what k is, we can pop that in as 2 over 25, bracket. Now we can put in our x is 17, subtract our 7, right? So using this formula here, but now we know what k is, then squared. So y is equal to 2 over 25. Now 17 minus 7 is 10, and 10 squared is 100 times 100. Cancel, cancel. One of those makes 4 of those, so then we get y is equal to 4 times 2, which is 8, and that's our answer. Okay, now this is the question that crushed my soul, because we have done so many of these, and people are still making the same mistakes that they were making a year ago. So let's see if we can improve on that one. I'm sure we can. Maybe this is the memory jogging we need. We've got 2 bottles that are similar. Okay, so straight away you know we're dealing with similar shapes. Okay, now capacity. Capacity, another name for volume. Okay, so we're talking about volume. Okay, so we've got small bottle, big bottle. And we got volume, or capacity, same thing. The small one is 324. The big one is 768. Now, then we've got a height. Height, and we want to know the height of the large bottle. Now, the height of the small bottle is 12. So this is like 1 dimension height, right? Capacity is 3 dimensions. Okay? So what you do is you go, how do we go from here to here? So I would go 768 divided by 324. And this gives me, I must be timesing by 64 over 27. Now some of you Larrys, who shall remain nameless, went, oh okay, that means we do this, 64 over 27. But hang on a minute, we are going from 3 dimensions to 1 dimension. Okay, so we need to cube root that. So cube root of 64 over 27. Okay, and then you times it. Now, the cube root of 64 over 27 is 4/3. So we're just going to times by 12 by 4 over 3, and that gives us 16. Okay, so that was actually not a hard one, as long as you spotted what was being tested. Now, functions is our favourite, isn't it? Most people were able to do the first one. Let me just, I think a few people forgot to put it in its simplest form. So let me just try that one as well. What are we trying to do here? So we're putting F into G. So we're going to put this in to G. Now remember, we're putting this in so that it becomes the x of our G function. So the next line is going to be equals 10 over, now instead of that x we've got 5x minus 3, but don't forget we've also got that minus 2 there. Now, let's go over to here, that's like 10 over 5x minus 5. Now some people gave that as the final answer, but I hope you can see that we can actually factorize that bottom like that. And then we can do some cancellation. So we'll end up with 2 over x minus 1. And that in fact is the answer that they wanted you to write. So if you got only to here, you're only going to get 1 mark. Now, the next one is finding the inverse function. So first step is to write this, y equals 10 over x minus 2. Now in class we've talked about our magic wand. And you go, whoops, dodgy looking wand, and swap our x and y's over, because that's what an inverse is. It's swapping your input and making that the output, and swapping the output and making that the input. Okay, now we're going to rearrange the formula. So we're going to go x into y minus 2 equals 10. We want y to be the subject, so I'm going to divide that x across, so it's 10 over x. Right, let's figure out where we're going to go here. Now we're going to go y, we're going to add that 2 to the other side, so we should have 2 plus 10 over x. And then last step is to write it in function notation. Oh, we don't, they've already got that for us. All we just need to do is 2 plus 10 over x, and that's fine. Some of you may have written it like this, 2x plus 10 over x, and that's perfectly acceptable as well. Finally, this one here is a trick question. It's very easy. So if you've got a function and then its inverse, and you put this in, what are you going to get out? You're just going to get out x minus 1. Okay, so a function and its inverse just cancel each other out. Okay. Now, we're getting near the end of the paper. So what we're going to do is sketch the graph of y equals sine x. So I guess 180 is about halfway here. You'll have a ruler to do things. And so that would mean that 90's there, and I think I may not quite be right, but so it should go up to its top point at 90, crossing at 0 there, down. Oh, I think I've gone too far there. Just gonna fix it up. Don't go too low, so it should be going down to there, and then back like that. Okay, some of you were a bit, you know, I had all sorts of things. I had something that felt like it was on a slope, so just make sure your highest point is at the right place. And then some people went woo like this. Okay, your highest point needs to be at 1 and your lowest point needs to be at -1. Alright, now the point of that is to help you with this next bit here, which is solving this trigonometric equation. So that's what we're solving, and we're solving it from 0 to 360. So my first step is, I'll write this out, 2 sine x equals 13 over 4. I'm going to bring the sine x across to one side, or the 2 sine x across to one side, and so I'm just rearranging the formula really. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now, that will give me a -1/4, I think. 3, 4, 12, yeah, equals 2 sine x. And then, so I'd say sine x equals -1/8, and at this point we go x equals the inverse sine of -1/8. Now when we plug this into our calculator, make sure you're set to degrees of course, sine -1/8, I'm getting -7.18. Okay, now of course that is not in our range, right? We need to be between 0 and 360. But what you can see, I hope you can see, is it would be the result that we've just got is going to be, you know, somewhere over here. And if we go across, we should have one result here, and then there should be another one here. Now to get this one, we just add 360. So add 360 to it, because that's the period of graph, so it should be 352.8. And then to get this one, you can see that just as this one over here is -7.18 from here, this should also be plus 7.18 from there, because it's symmetrical. So I'm going to go 180 plus 7.18, and that will give me 187.8. So sorry, 187.2. My apologies, 187.2. And that's that. All sorted. Okay, second to last page. Now, a lot of people really struggled with this. So, for this one, let's work our way through it. The diagram shows the positions of 3 ships, A, B, and C. Very creative. We know that AC is 17.6. We see that on the diagram. We know that BC is 12.8. We see it on the diagram. We know that angle BAC is 25 degrees. We see it on the diagram. The bearing of C from B is 112. So they've done that one for us. And angle ABC is obtuse. Okay, that angle there is obtuse. Okay, so that is a particularly important part of this question, because sometimes triangles can be ambiguous. There can be more than one triangle that fits the criteria, and I think this is where a lot of you got stuck. We've got to calculate the bearing of B from A, so I'm just going to draw that in. What we're trying to do is find this angle here. Hopefully you drew that in. Now, looking at this, the first thing that I'm going to do is not panic. I reckon this is what I'm going to try. I'm going to find this blue angle here, and once I know that blue angle there, I can find this. What the lasers is that? Let's do another color. That's ridiculous. I can find this purple angle here, because angles around a point add to 360. So let's find the blue angle. Now looking at the blue angle, I see it's opposite here, and I know that this and this are opposite, so I could use the sine rule. So I can say, we'll call this theta, sine theta over 17.6 equals sine 25 over 12.8. Okay, and then sine theta equals 17.6 times sine 25 over 12.8, and theta equals, I'm going to do inverse sine of that. So inverse sine of 17.6 times sine 25 all over 12.8 equals, let's see, 35.5 degrees. Okay, now the problem with that is that we've been told that it is obtuse. Okay, so obtuse. Now you can see that this angle that we've got here, 35, is not obtuse. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the previous page and look at our sine diagram. Okay, here is 35.5, but do you notice if we go across here, we're going to get another result that's the same sine. So this is 180 here, so we're going to go 180 minus 35.5 to get that angle. So I think the angle should be 144.5. So maybe I rounded too early. Let's just go back up. Well, we'll just go with it. What did I say? 144.5. Okay, so that must be the blue angle, 144.5, because it's obtuse. So that was the trick to this question, and a lot of people got fooled there and they got into all sorts of trouble. But now that we've got that, everything else slots in very easily. So this purple angle is 360 minus 112 minus 144.5 equals. So 360 minus 112 minus 144.5 equals, this is 103.5. And to find the final angle here, this one, you know that the red angle and the purple angle must add up to, so this angle here and this angle here must add up to 180. So 180 minus 103.5. And that gives me 76.5. Now, the final thing here is that it's a bearing, so unfortunately a lot of you lost marks here, because you're not going to write 76.5, you're going to write 076.5, because bearings must have 3 digits. So, for example, anything less than 100, you've got to put an O in the front of it, like I have done there. Okay. Alrighty, last page. A lot of people struggled with this one as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all expand the pink bracket. So I'll leave 2x minus 1 here for a moment, but when I expand that pink bracket, I know that I get x squared plus 4x minus 3x, which is plus x minus 12. Okay, you might do that in a couple of steps. Then I'm going to expand this bracket here. So I go that 2x times x squared, which is 2x cubed. Then I times it by this one here, which is 2x squared. And then I times it by the 12, which is negative 24x. Now I'm going to times this one, and this one. So I'll get minus x squared minus x plus 12. Now when we chuck that all together, we should get 20, what the heck, we get 2x cubed. Now looking at our x's, plus x squared minus 25x plus 12. I think that's the final answer. The last question in the exam was this one here, and again, simplest form, and a lot of people forgot how to do these. So first step is we're going to flip in time. So I'm going to go 4 over 2x minus 3 times 2x squared plus 11x minus 21 all over 2x squared plus 14x. Now, when you've got fractions, algebraic fractions, factorize to see if you can cancel, okay? So we've got 4 over 2x minus 3 times. Now let's factorize the top. 2x plus, maybe go plus 7 minus 3. Let's see if that works. So we get 2x squared plus 14x minus 3, which gives us 11, and minus 3 times 7 is negative 21. Perfect. And on the bottom, I think we can go 2x bracket x plus 7. Okay, and at this point, now it's getting easier. We can cancel that one, because that cancels that one down. We can cancel this one, because that cancels that one. And then we're left with 4 over 2x. But of course, we're not complete and utter Larrys, so we can go get rid of that, divide that. So we should get 2 over x as our final answer. And that is the paper. I hope this has been helpful. If there is anything in this paper that you didn't quite understand or my explanation was rubbish, let me know and I can redo it for you. Alright guys, take care. If you have any questions in the holidays, please let me know. God bless.